Welcome back, everyone. Today we're diving into a topic that can truly change the way you approach your marriage and family life. This session is all about learning to confidently say no to lesser priorities so you can say yes to what matters most. By focusing on what's truly important, you can protect your marriage from unnecessary distractions so you fully live out your divine purpose together in marriage. So let's rewind to early in my career, back when I thought saying yes to every opportunity was the best way to provide for my family. I used to think I was really impressing Stephanie by working late. We just had our first child, and I was leading a manufacturing plant. I wanted to take every project thrown my way, thinking it would show dedication and be good for my career. But that yes came at a cost. I was working long extra hours, which meant time away from Stephanie and our son. Looking back, I didn't realize it, but my priorities were pretty out of order. I started to let my job become part of my identity. And then, as if God was sending me a wake-up call, one day the plant literally caught on fire from a gas leak and completely burned down. Talk about a humbling experience. I remember standing there thinking, what am I doing and what am I going to do? It was in that moment of brokenness that I felt the Lord nudge me, showing me that I've been putting my job ahead of my marriage and family. I had to realize that just because I was saying yes didn't mean it was the best thing for my family. I needed a filter for my priorities, and that experience really helped me commit to keeping my marriage and family first.
I had a similar lesson, but from a different angle. When Bill and I had two little ones, he was managing these two plants. I was full on juggling mode of working as a cardiac nurse, homeschooling our oldest, and really overseeing the whole children's ministry at our church. And I think I was probably the queen of overcommitting. I'd say yes to volunteer opportunities, yes to last minute coffee times with friends or a phone call, yes to a play day, all while thinking, oh, I'll squeeze all that in between work activities and dinner prep and getting the kids to bed. And quite honestly, over time, my life started to feel a little bit like a rubber band stretched to its limit. If at any point I added one more thing, I was about to snap. And I remember I was at a women's retreat, and they gave us this personal reflection time. I walked down by the lake for just some time of quiet, and that's when I really started to notice my eyes filled with tears. I started to cry, and I was completely drained, and I couldn't figure out why I felt so spent. It was in that moment I took out a piece of paper and I drew a circle to represent my daily life plate and really everything that I had going on, and I wrote down everything. Well, it didn't take long to realize that circle was filling up, and I actually ran out of room on that circle, and I started to squeeze things into actually the margin space. That's when it hit me. I had zero margin left in my life. I had packed my life plate so full, there was really no room for anything unexpected or for people who really mattered the most to me. And that day, I began to realize I desperately needed margin. I needed space in my life, not just for emergencies, but really for the people that I love the most.
These experiences taught us the importance of saying no to distractions and lesser priorities. In Song of Solomon, it talks about little foxes that ruin the vineyard, which is a powerful metaphor for how even small distractions can harm our marriage over time. For me, those distractions were extra work projects. For Stephanie, it was overcommitting to different roles. By learning to confidently say no to these lesser priorities, we've been able to protect what truly matters and create more meaningful and intentional time together.
And we realized that having a priority list isn't enough. We needed a godly order of priority. We ended up creating this journal, this Wildfire Daily Journal, to really help us stay on track each and every day. And every day we would assess how are we doing in each area. We'd use a scale 1 to 5, ensuring that we would keep our priorities aligned with really God's design for our days. This daily assessment really helped us protect us also from becoming child-centered through the years, when it was tempting to really put our children before our marriage, and really to start focusing on investing into each other. during this season with our children also prepared us how to grow in our relationship when our kids would eventually transition out of the home. So here's the order of priorities that we really intentionally try to live by. First, God, growing our spiritual relationship, our marriage, intentionally nurturing our connection. Third is our children, being present and engaged with our kids without letting it get in the way of our marriage. Next is work, managing our careers in a really balanced way. And then community and outreach, contributing without overextending ourselves. By checking in and with ourselves each day, we can make sure we're saying yes to what truly aligns with these priorities.
One practical tool that has really helped us a lot is this proper portions tool. It's part of the workbook and allows you to visually assess where your time and energy are going, and it really represents what Stephanie did at that retreat. We both use this tool during these pivotal moments in our lives, and it brought us a lot of clarity.
Yes, for me, the proper portions tool was essential in helping me see how overloaded I actually was. When I mapped out all my commitments in that circle, I realized that I had filled every possible space without leaving any room for margin. And this visual representation allowed me to see that I wanted to be fully present in my marriage and in my family life. I needed to make some major adjustments. It's something I still use today whenever I feel like I'm starting to take on too much.
And for me, using the proper portions tool has really helped me assess and realize that too much of my time was focused on my career. And saying yes to everything at work wasn't sustainable or healthy for my family. It created a space for me to take a step back, really prioritize, and realign with God's calling for me as a husband and as a father. So during this session, we're asking you to complete this proper portions tool. This will help you gain greater awareness of your life's commitments. By listing all your responsibilities, you'll get a visual representation of where your time is going and where you may need to simplify or even reduce to create margin. So highlight one area for adjustment and discuss how you can make changes together.
See, in Matthew 11:28-30, Jesus invites us to come to him, to rest, and to really experience his unforced rhythms of grace. This scripture has been a guiding light for us. When we say no to the lesser things, we're actually creating space for this rest, this peace that Jesus offers to us, which we desperately need to bring into our marriages.
That's good. And this scripture really reminds us that by following God's design and order, we're not only honoring him, but also protecting the health of our marriage. When we say no to unnecessary distractions, we're able to keep company with Jesus and learning to live freely and lightly without being overloaded.
This week, we want to encourage you, sit down with that proper portions tool and really examine your commitments. Use this visual to assess where you're investing your time and your energy, and then discuss with your spouse one area that you can adjust to create more margin in your lives.
Also, you can use tools such as a Wildfire Daily Journal as a way to keep these priorities front and center. Just something to take just a few minutes every day to assess where you're at. Using that scale of 1 to 5 that Stephanie referred to. This helps you stay aligned with God's order of priorities and be intentional about saying no to the things that don't align.
So as we wrap up, remember that learning to confidently say no to lesser things will allow you to say yes to what matters most. We hope that as you go through these steps, you're going to experience more peace and more freedom in your marriage.
So this week, focus on creating margin by intentionally saying no to one lesser priority. And use that proper portions tool to help guide your decisions and reflect on how this is bringing space for rest, intimacy, and joy in your marriage. Remember, every no to distractions is a yes to a stronger, more God-centered marriage.
We're excited to see how these practices will help you grow together, protect your relationship, and experience the unforced rhythms of God's grace. See you next time as we continue to dive deeper into building a marriage that reflects His love and His purpose.